Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Banished Naruto leaves the village with his childhood love Yakumo and they build a new life and family together part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. A blonde man of 20 years of age with fox ears fluttered his eyes open in his home. Snuggled to his chest was a beautiful chestnut-haired woman of 19 with similar fox ears, only that they are colored the same as her hair. Both of them were wearing nothing underneath the sheets of the bed. He groaned as he slowly slipped out of the bed, his wife still asleep. He placed on some trousers and walked out into the balcony of his home. Down below he could see people of different races going about their business. Some were buying food from stores, blacksmiths creating armor and weapons, guards patrolling the streets, and children playing. Orcs, blood elves, trolls, goblins and tauren lived in this magnificent oasis city. And then there were the unique race that came 8 years ago, 2 people, lovers, a girl and a boy now man and woman, called Hanyu, a combination of animal and human. They were welcomed within the city with open arms, wanting to start a new life together. The man smiled, sighing in content about his life. He suddenly felt slender feminine arms wrap around his waist, lips kissing the large jagged scar on his back. "I thought you would be still asleep," the man said to his wife. She smiled and kissed his scar once more, the bed sheets wrapped around her slender naked form. "You know I can't sleep without you beside me," she answered with a giggle, but then made a serious face, placing her forehead on his back. "Something's on your mind, Koibito. October 10th. My birthday, and that day, 7 years now my love, since we left that wretched village. First of all, happy birthday Koibito, and second, no need to reminisce it every year, you know it's all behind us now." She tightened her arms around his muscular waist. But still, she knew it bothered him. She knew every year on her husband's birthday, he would have the same nightmare. 7 years ago, Naruto Uzumaki was a blonde boy with 3 whisker marks on each cheek. He frowned as he packed things into a bag and storage scrolls. Gritting his teeth and tears falling down his face. Damn them all. After everything I've done for them," he screamed inside his head. His duffel bag was being packed with the necessities, remembering what had happened a few hours ago. Flashback. A few hours earlier. "What the hell do you mean I'm being banished?" the blonde boy screamed at the older people in the room. "You will be quiet, you brat. It is as we say. You are hereby banished from Konoha for the serious injuries you have caused on Uchiha-sama." An elderly woman shouted at him with anger in her voice. He turned to Tsunade, the Hokage and his motherly figure with a pleading look, only for her to close her eyes and bow her head in shame. "No, this can't be happening. No," he thought with his face filled with dread. After all that's said and done, he left the room, only for his teammate Sakura to scream insults and threats at him. Demon, monster, garbage and every other insult she could muster was thrown at him. His friends didn't even bother to give him any support. The Sand siblings on the other hand, gave him a hug, saying that he is welcome to come to Suna. He declined their offer, saying it would likely cause more problems, but he thanked them in the end. With one final hug, he bid them goodbye and went straight for his apartment one last time. Flashback end. Naruto, a female voice came from at the door was his secret girlfriend, Kurama Yakumo. His childhood friend, best friend, and someone who became the love of his life in secret just a few months ago. The reason for the secrecy is that if the villagers found out they were in a romantic relationship, they would go after her, calling her demon whore or demon lover. She would be the target of mobs, beatings or worse, rape. So they had to be careful and always got together at night in his apartment where they would just spend their time, having dinner and enjoy each other's company. Out of all the people in Konoha, Kurama was always there for him. She was physically frail due to a condition with her body. It had to with a bloodline limit that gave them extremely powerful genjutsu, but it was also unstable. Naruto was able to save her from the demonic personality within her, but her physical frailty remained, unable to become a shinobi. But she didn't care. All that mattered was she got to be with Naruto. She was always there. The first day they met, Naruto was extremely hungry. He wandered around the streets near her home where she spotted him ruffling through the garbage for food. She was saddened at the sight and came out to give him food. He cried that someone for the first time in his life was kind to him. It was also the beginning of a beautiful friendship that would become something more. Over the next years of their childhood, they would spend time with each other. He had never been so happy before, his first true friend in his entire life, and possible his only true friend. I heard about what happened, Koi. She walked in, carrying a duffel bag. Yakumo, what are you doing with that bag? Naruto said, his face dropped the mask of fake smiles and happiness. He would only be his true self around her. The 12-year-old girl walked up to him and placed her lips on his. I'm coming with you. I have nothing here but you, Naruto. My parents are dead. I'm the only one that's left of my family. So I'm coming with you. Naruto returned the kiss. There is no arguing with you, is there? He smiled at her. She was the only one that would ever see his real smile, his radiant, heart-melting and contagious smile. Her lightly colored chocolate eyes gazed at his radiant blue eyes lovingly. You know you can't win this one, Naruto. I'm coming with you. Together forever. You promised me, remember? Flashback. 4 years ago. Naruto. What is it, Yakumo? He turned to his childhood crush. You'll never leave, right? We'll always be together. She looked at him with pleading eyes, her hands gripping his, shaking with fear. He grinned and immediately captured her in an embrace. Yakumo sporting a blush. I promise we'll always be together. That's a promise of a lifetime. End flashback. Naruto kissed her once more. I never go back on my promises to you. He lowered his hands to hers, fingers intertwining. Let's go. I'm done with this place. With that, the couple with bags and storage scrolls with them, left the village, leaving his headband behind. He didn't even bother waiting for the ninja assigned to escort him out of the village, they just left and disappeared without a trace. Tsunade was a wreck. She was originally planning to smuggle him out and give him to Jiraiya so he could train him as long as he could until the banishment was repealed and he could come back. She loved him like a son, he reminded him so much of her deceased little brother Nawaki. But her plans went down the drain when they came to his apartment. There was nothing but the headband he left on the floor the second they entered. Shizune didn't fare any better. She broke down in the apartment crying. Her little brother was gone and there was nothing she could do. They couldn't send search parties as he was formally banished from Konoha. For the next 3 months, she would refuse to speak to anyone, clinging to a picture of her and Naruto when they were at a festival at a nearby town, enjoying themselves, eating cotton candy, playing games. They looked happy. The couple got into a boat at Wave Country. It was going to sail far west, into lands unknown to them. They were going to be as far away as possible. For the next few months out at sea, they kept to themselves in the ship, a few weeks away from land when they circled the new continent from the south into a country called Durotar. From one of the veteran sailors, a storm struck them, ripping the ship apart and both of them nearly dying as they lay on the beach, their hands never letting go of each other. I am not going to let you two die. The Kyuubi said defiantly. This is goodbye, Naruto Uzumaki. I hope you live a good life in these strange lands. The fox demon then unleashed its chakra onto Naruto and Yakumo, their hands still connected to each other. The chakra seeped into them, healing their wounds and mending their broken bones. Their ears begun to move to their heads, turning into fox ears. This is my final gift to you. The fox demon said one last time, before fading away, the seal on Naruto's stomach disappearing forever. He was finally free of his burden. War Chief. An orc warrior called out, survivors from the shipwreck. Thrall, son of Durotar, war chief of the horde and leader of the orcs in Orgrimmar, looked distantly at the beach. There laid 2 young teenagers, a boy and a girl. Laying on the sand unconscious, their bodies still. The orcs ran to the two, and the first thing they noticed were the dog-like ears on their heads. They're not human, a Tauren said, examining their bodies. Their wounds are healing rapidly. I have never seen anything like it. We will take them back to Orgrimmar. There we can treat them properly. Thrall ordered. picking up the blonde fox-eared boy while another orc picked up the brown-haired girl. Naruto fluttered his eyes open. Beside him was Yakumo, asleep as both of them were on a bed. He sat up, until he heard a voice. "Be still, boy." He turned to his right and looked at a blue-skinned humanoid-looking man with tusks coming out of his mouth. "Ah, you have never seen a troll before?" Naruto shook his head. "Well, I have never seen your kind before, with fox ears." He widened his eyes and felt his head. He was right, he did have fox ears. He didn't know what to make of it. He then realized that they were shipwrecked because of a storm. The Kyuubi must have kept them alive. He tried talking to him, but to no avail. He must have sacrificed himself to and gave them his chakra, in turn giving them fox ears. "The war chief is here to see you, boy." The troll said. "By the way, my name is Vol'jin." The troll named Vol'jin walked out of the door, and in turn a green-skinned man with large teeth walked in, smiling. He sat down on the chair. "How are you, boy?" "I'm okay. Thank you for saving me and my girlfriend." "You are lucky we found you. I am Thrall, son of Durotar, warchief of the Horde. You are in a hospital in Orgrimmar, our capital city of Durotar." "What is your name, boy?" "My name is Naruto." He didn't even bother saying his last name, and the one lying beside me is Yakumo, my girlfriend. "We left our old home to start a new life together, but..." Thrall nodded. "I understand. You know your name is strange in these lands. You two are awfully young to be on your own. Where are your parents?" "We're orphans," he told him with a straight face. Thrall admired his strength. He smiled as they talked some more. Naruto telling him about his life in a village called Konoha, in the elemental lands to the east. Yakumo woke up and spotted her love, Naruto. She lunged at him, crying onto his chest. The blonde Hanyu sighed and hugged him, patting her head, and in turn her fox ears. She looked up at him with widened eyes, placing her hand on the fox ears she now has. "Oh my Kami, I have fox ears." "Oh Kami, you have them too." Thrall just laughed, finding this whole thing amusing. It had been a year since they had arrived. With the valuable possessions they thanks to storage scrolls they had on them, they traded it for a lot of money, enough for them to buy a house at the top of Orgrimmar. For the first time in their life, they truly felt at home together. Naruto, wanting to repay Thrall, joined the Horde. He trained to become a blade master. The couple had become close to Thrall. He had become a father figure to Naruto, so much so he actually adopted him into his family and clan. As he was adopted into the family and the Frostwolf clan, he was given an orc name, Nakazakov, which means little fox. Naruto was a natural with a battle axe. The weapon was so unique to him, yet felt natural at the same time. At age 17, he joined the war against the Scourge, fighting side by side with the Horde. Like his namesake in his native tongue, he was a maelstrom in battle. The war with the Scourge was also the time he got his weapon that made him famous among the Horde. Like the weapon he wielded, he was nicknamed the Maelstrom Fox of Shadowmourne, for he was cunning like a fox, but a maelstrom in battle with his axe Shadowmourne. But when he first wielded it, it began to glow orange and red with energy instead of blue. Naruto realized it was the Kyuubi's chakra that was powering it. Because of it, Shadowmourne was changed forever. Its runes glowed red and orange with power. No longer did it need to feed on the souls of its enemies. With the newly powered Shadowmourne, he was able to slay Arthas Menethil, the dreaded Lich King. He also gained a large scar on his back from the battle with Sindragosa. He was hailed a hero among the Horde. It was also a momentous day for him. It was also the day he took Yakumo as his wife. The wedding was grand. Chieftains from different clans of the Horde came. Sylvanas, Windrunner of the Forsaken, also came to the wedding, thanking Naruto for killing Arthas. They then became close friends and allies. A year had passed since their marriage. Yakumo absolutely loved it in Orgrimmar. Thanks to the Kyuubi, she was no longer physical frail. She took up as a genjutsu mistress, continuing her arts of illusion as well as a blade mistress with her katana crafted with the help of her husband. No longer was she Kurama Yakumo, she was now Yakumo, wife of Naruto, son of Thrall and member of the Frostwolf clan. Their lives came for the better. the defeat of Deathwing during the Cataclysm, and Thrall's marriage to Agra along with their first child Durik. Naruto was extremely happy he would be having a younger sibling. The husband and wife along with the rest of the Horde and Alliance were shocked with the discovery of the Pandaren race. Naruto and Yakumo were surprised at how similar in culture they were to the elemental nations. But either way, much like Naruto and Yakumo, they were. The day the Horde was plunged into civil war thanks Garrosh Hellscream was one of their hardest days yet. He was a tyrant the day he became warchief of the Horde. Orgrimmar was under siege that day. They temporarily allied with the Alliance forces in order to stop Garrosh's madness. Many lives during Garrosh's reign, the city of Theramore was destroyed by a mana bomb Garrosh concocted. And then he attacked Pandaria at the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, using the pool to unleash the Shaw of Pride from the heart of Yasharj and corrupting the Vale. Many Pandaren died that day. He then tried to assassinate Yakumo, who was loved by the Horde for her strength and kind and gentle nature, and would eventually blame it on the Alliance, hoping to fuel the fires of war with her death. Thankfully Vol'jin saved her. Naruto was eternally grateful for that. Their friendship grew to that they became blood brothers. Garrosh even used beasts of great evil to fuel his army, creatures of the old gods. Garrosh proclaimed they were the true Horde, what the Horde should have been. Naruto and Yakumo fled to Pandaria with Vol'jin and the rest of the Horde forces who disagreed with Garrosh. They formed the Darkspear Rebellion, an open Horde rebellion. After regrouping their forces and acquiring allies, they took the fight back to Orgrimmar, and finally stopping Garrosh's tyranny. Thrall walked up to the defeated Garrosh, who was currently on the floor, wielding his iconic weapon, the Doomhammer. "You disappoint me, Garrosh. You are not worthy of your father's legacy," he said, but then turned to his Naruto and nodded. Naruto walked up, looking down with fury at Garrosh. "You tried to assassinate my wife, hoping to pin the blame on the Alliance to further your goals. I will never forgive you for that." He raised Shadowmourne and swung it down to his head, but was stopped by the sword of King Varian Rin, frowning at him. "His punishment is not for you alone to decide," the King of Stormwind declared. Naruto growled at the human king, "I won't let you take him. We have all suffered from his atrocities. My people, more than any other." Taranju's face was that of sadness. "Let him stand trial in Pandaria. There, we will mete out justice for all." Varian nodded to Naruto and withdrew his sword Charlemagne, while Naruto withdrew Shadowmourne and walked back to his wife's side, in each other's embrace. "It's finally over," Yakumo sighed in relief. "Her husband is alive." Vol'jin looked to Thrall. "The Horde needs its true warchief now, more than ever." "Yes, but it was you who held the Horde together during this madness." Thrall turned to the jungle troll. "It was you that protected our honor. From this day forward, Vol'jin, if you lead, I will follow." Thrall then bowed to him, declaring Vol'jin the new warchief of the Horde. Vol'jin gasped, "I am not worthy." The Horde leaders bowed. Naruto and Yakumo smiled at their close friend, and bowed to him as well. "But I will give my all, for the Horde." Varian approached them once more after Garrosh was taken away. "I will speak your warchief." The orcs parted and revealed Vol'jin kneeling in the middle. Varian widened his eyes at this. "I speak for the Horde." Vol'jin replied. "Very well." Varian said, disgruntled that he won't be speaking to Thrall. "The Horde has committed heinous crimes, Vol'jin." He stabbed Charlemagne to the floor and walked up the jungle troll, "But some among you fought against Garrosh's tyranny. For that, I am willing to end this bloodshed." He walked away. "But know this, if your Horde fails to uphold honor as Garrosh did, we will end you." After those events, the Alliance Horde war ended and Garrosh's trial commenced. But ultimately, by some unknown factor, Garrosh escaped and disappeared with a trace. 2 years since the war ended, all of this half of Azeroth was at peace while little news from sailors of the elemental nations was brought in. Surprising news was that Naruto's friend Gaara became Kazekage. They also rebuilt their home, which was destroyed during Orgrimmar's siege. The house was rebuilt to what it was before it was destroyed. 2 years after the war, on November 15th, Yakumo gave birth to their first child, a daughter. Naming her Kyo, she had purple hair much like her deceased grandmother, Yakumo's mother. but had Yakumo's face with unique purple eyes, possibly a Hanyu trait. It was a momentous occasion for all of Frostwolf clan, a child had been born. Just like her parents, she purple fox ears on her head. Life was really looking up for them. Present time. 8 years after banishment. 8 years Yakumo, Naruto sighed. His wife just smiled. I'm here Naruto koi. We are a family now remember. He sighed once more, and turned around. Hugging his wife who was wearing nothing but the bed sheets around her body. You're right. They then heard crying from the other room. Yakumo then quickly put on a dress and rushed to the other room where their daughter was crying. She was now 11.5 months old, turning 1 next year old month. Shish, there, Mama's here. Yakumo picked up her daughter and started rocking her, humming a tune. With that their daughter was fast asleep once more. Naruto couldn't help but look at the sight, his beautiful wife with their beautiful daughter. She must have had a bad dream. Yakumo said, smiling and placing a kiss on her daughter's forehead. She placed her back on the crib and looked strangely at her husband. What? You're beautiful, you know that. You told me that millions of times already. She grinned, walking up to her husband and snuggling onto his chest. But thanks anyway. The blonde Hanyu chuckled, you're most welcome dear wife. They then walked back to their room. They heard commotion from outside, so Naruto walked out into the balcony and widened his eyes in shock. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Traders and merchants arrived from the elemental nations, with Team Guy, Kurenai, Asuma and Kakashi. Naruto, what is it? Yakumo called out from inside their home. Take Kyo with you and go to the clan house, they are here. The female Hanyu widened her eyes, she immediately nodded and got dressed. She wore a red and white obi-style dress that did very little to hide her cleavage. Going to other room she strapped her katana to her side and picked up their sleeping daughter and made her way out. Naruto wore his armor, its red wyvern scales and plating surrounding his body, along with his helmet he looked like a humanoid dragon. Picking up his battle axe Shadowmourne he glared down at the Konoha nin walking to the Valley of Strength where the Warchief's hold is located. He reminded himself, he was no longer Konoha's, he belonged to his wife and his family. He is a son of Thrall, and his home Orgrimmar. He gripped the handle of Shadowmourne tightly, gritting his teeth. He finally got the peace he wanted, the family he had always dreamed of, and he was finally loved and accepted for who he is. And now they are here to take it all away from him. His eyes turned blood red, his pupils going slit like a fox, his teeth growing sharp much like a wolf's. He then muttered the famous words all soldiers of the Horde said with great pride in their hearts. The Konoha nin were escorting their clients through the wide gates of Orgrimmar. They were fascinated by the architecture and the people living in the city. Different races of humanoid people lived in this great city. And then there were the human-looking blood elves with glowing green eyes. What intimidated them a bit were the Tauren and orcs, tall giant cow people and green-skinned people with teeth sticking out of their mouths. One of the Jonins of the group, Kurenai Yuhi, looked around and spotted someone familiar to her, a beautiful young woman with brown hair, brown eyes and fox ears, wearing a beautiful red and white obi-style dress walking down the stairs in a hurried manner, carrying a baby girl with purple hair and the same fox ears as her, just smaller as she was a baby. Kurenai widened her eyes when the brunette looked at her. She knew this girl. She disappeared the same day Naruto had been banished from Konoha 8 years ago. Yakumo Kurama, that was her name. She now had fox ears, her body more curvaceous, she was beautiful, and it looks like she has a daughter. Sensei, what's wrong? A young woman in her squad with pale white eyes and lavender hair asked her. I just saw Yakumo. The entire Konoha group stopped and looked at her with surprised looks. Asuma Sarutobi walked up to her with a questioning look. Are you sure it was her? I'm sure, and now she seems to have fox ears and a daughter with her. I saw her look at me, there is no mistaking it, that was Yakumo. I used to teach her genjutsu, but I was ordered to stop when Sandaime-sama told me she could no longer become a kunoichi. Did you say fox ears and daughter? Wait, she also disappeared the same day Naruto was banished 8 years ago. Could it be she came with him? Kakashi Hatake spoke up, with a hopeful look on his eye. That means there is a chance Naruto is in this city. Sakura said, a guilty look on her face. She regretted calling him a demon and a monster that day. Ichiraku's the following week after his banishment left the village and moved to the land of waves, never once talking to her after what she did. A chance, yes, but not certain. We were ordered to come to these lands in hope of finding Naruto. The description from the sailors that came here matched our descriptions. We have to at least tell him first that his banishment is repealed. Kurenai reminded them. But our mission is to protect the merchants and traders as well, don't forget that. They all nodded, Sakura nodding solemnly, and followed their clients to the warchief's hold in the Valley of Strength. They all hoped they would find their lost friend, and the last Namikaze. Naruto was inside the warchief's hold. Beside him was his blood brother Vol'jin, warchief of the horde, seated at the throne. He notified Vol'jin who these people were, and the warchief was unhappy. He knew of his poor treatment at his birthplace, and how he was shunned. As warchief he had a responsibility to his people, and his family. He would be damned if he let them take Naruto away, and possibly the young family as well. For now he had to be civil, they hadn't done anything, yet. He hoped Yakumo and their daughter Kyo made it safely to the clan house. Right now he had a job to do, as captain of the newly reformed Korkron Legion, the elite fighting force of the Horde. He watched as the traders and merchants walk into the Great Hall along with the Konoha nin. Vol'jin stood up and raised his arms in welcome, welcome all, to Orgrimmar, capital city of Durotar. I am Vol'jin, warchief of the Horde. A silver-haired man with his headband covering his left eye bowed, we thank you for your welcome, warchief Vol'jin. We shinobi from the land of fire, a country from the far east across the ocean, we are here as escorts and guards for the merchants and traders with us. I am Kakashi Hatake, these are my colleagues Might Guy, Kurenai Yuhi and Asuma Sarutobi with their squads. Naruto with his helmet still on turned to Vol'jin, the warchief nodded and turned to the shinobi, now please, you must be all tired from your long trip, we have prepared rooms for you and your people to stay. We may do our business tomorrow. The four squads sighed in exhaustion. One of shinobi had frisky brown and red markings on his cheeks, at his side was a large dog as his companion. Aw man, I'm beat. I mean 3 months at sea. It's a good thing we can set up summon seals so we can travel faster. He fell to his bum and sat down, his dog Akamaru barked in agreement. At least while guarding the merchants we can also look for that idiot Naruto. Many of the orc and troll guards tensed, calling the captain an idiot so openly. They had to control themselves or else create an international incident. Can you keep it down, Kiba? We are all trying to rest. A girl with brown hair tied to 2 buns carrying large scroll on her back sat on a couch, and don't call Naruto an idiot, he did beat you in the Chunin exams. He just got lucky. Kiba snapped at her, besides that dead last won't be able to beat me, not this time. Naruto kept a straight face in the room, but many of his men knew he was mad. He just walked past the shinobi and made his way out of the building. He had to go see his family. Yakumo was with Agra inside the clan home of the Frostwolf clan. Thrall was on official business in Silvermoon City in the Eastern Kingdoms. She was playing with her daughter, actually her daughter playing with her mother's fingers, smiling and making sounds. Naruto walked in and placed his helmet down and started growling, "Rog!" He roared, taking out Shadowmourne and completely destroying a table in the room. He was fortunate Kyo did not cry and just laughed, mistaking it for her father playing around. Yakumo on the other hand, was extremely worried. Go to him, daughter, I will watch over Kyo. Agra said. The female Hanyu nodded in thanks and quickly rushed to her enraged husband's side, enveloping him in an embrace. Naruto managed to calm down a bit, but his breathing was still erratic. They're here, he muttered, placing his arms around his wife, shaking in anger. Shish, I'm here Koibito, I'm here. We'll face this together. Yakumo just whispered to him, her voice like a soothing song to her husband's ears, calming his rage. They fell to their knees, in each other's embrace. Tears were welling in the man's eyes. This isn't fair, We came here to be away from them. I know, Yakumo whispered, we will all face this together, besides Vol'jin won't let this happen, you two are brothers for ancestors' sakes. He sighed, wiping his tears away, you're right, it's just seeing their faces. I know Naruto, I know. Yakumo gave him a small smile, kissing her husband. His rage finally subsiding. I pity those who anger him when you are not around Yakumo, for only you can calm his rage. Agra said in a serious tone. Another thing, Sasuke wasn't with them, it was a different member for Team 7, he had black hair as well but his face devoid of emotion. Naruto said. We'll just have to wait and see what happens next, Naruto. Agra replied. Hinata Hyuga, heiress to the Hyuga clan, was pacing in her room, with her were the other girls sleeping as her roommates along with her sensei Kurenai. She was worried, what if that baby Yakumo holding was Naruto's child? What if they were husband and wife? She did not want to believe it. Hinata, I know what you are thinking. Kurenai called out, making her stop pacing. Sensei, I'm scared, what if that baby is Naruto's? Those words struck Sakura, could he have found love here? But she remembered Naruto was head over heels for her, she then remembered he stopped pursuing her months before the Chunin exam started. Just what happened? I don't know Hinata, maybe he found love here. Kurenai did not want to say it, but it was the truth, Hinata never found the courage to tell him, and now she was probably too late. The pale-eyed girl sat down on the bed, tears welling in her eyes. Tenten sat beside her to comfort her, rubbing her back as the Hyuga heiress cried. The next day the merchants and traders from Konoha begun trading their wares in the market square. The Konoha shinobi were given a break and begun exploring the magnificent city. Tenten of course bought all the unique weapons she could afford with the money she had on hand. Ever since merchant ships started arriving in Durotar, the horde had begun to prosper even more with the new technology they had been given. One of those technologies was the fuel engine, with it they could fuel their vehicles. Electricity was not needed seeing as they used energy crystals that were mined all over. Medical techniques were also traded to the horde, allowing them to save more lives. The rest of the Konoha rookies were going about their own business, and secretly looking for Naruto, they were now sure he was in the city. Kakashi spotted the same dragon-scaled armored soldier with the warchief from yesterday. He was currently with an extremely large wolf with a saddle on its back. The soldier was feeding the black-furred wolf with a lot of meat placed on a large bowl. After feeding the wolf, he got on the saddle, and rode towards one of the large houses. The banner on the houses depicted a snow wolf. There he saw the missing heiress of the Kurama clan of Konoha, with her daughter. There Kakashi's eyes widened when he saw the smile of the baby girl, it the exact same smile Naruto had. There was no mistaking it now, that baby is Naruto's daughter, and Yakumo is the mother. Kakashi, what is it? Kurenai approached him. He gave her a serious look. That baby, it has the same smile Naruto has, there is no mistaking it, that is his daughter. Kurenai widened her eyes at the revelation. She turned around to see Hinata with a look of dread on her face, tears falling freely down her cheeks. Hinata, wait. It was too late, she ran back to their room where they were staying. Kakashi-sensei, that means Naruto is here. Sakura had hope in her eyes. The silver-haired Jonin sighed, yeah, although in his mind, he doubted things would go smoothly, something tells him that Naruto isn't the same person he knew 8 years ago. He then watched as Kurenai chased after the weeping Hyuga heiress, things just got more problematic. Kyo was currently playing with a snow wolf plushie in the middle of the living room of her home. The Hanyu family went back to their home high up on the Orgrimmar Plateau. Her parents watched with smiles on their faces as their daughter was making dribbling sounds with her mouth and patting the snow wolf plushie. She's going to be an energetic one when she gets older. Yakumo commented, kneeling down to her daughter. Ancestors help us, Naruto said in a sarcastic manner. The husband and wife laughed, causing Kyo to laugh with them, despite not knowing what they were laughing about. He then sighed, looking at his daughter sadly, it's hard, giving Kyo something I never had, something I never experienced, I have never felt. You're a good father, Naruto, in fact an amazing father. Yakumo took his hand, her thumb began caressing it. You really think so? She stood back up and gave him a passionate kiss. I don't think so, I know you are. You are an excellent provider, you spoil her, you know. And I already see how protective you are of us. You are the best husband and the most amazing father. Always remember that, my love. He smelled the sweet scent of her hair, the scent of a flower. How is it that you can always cheer me up when I am down? Yakumo giggled. Simple, I'm your wife. Baba baba baba, Kyo mumbled loudly as she played with her snow wolf plushie. See, even Kyo agrees you're an amazing father. He sighed in content, an arm around his wife's waist as they watched their daughter play with the plushie. Neji didn't know what to do. Her cousin was a complete wreck after finding out Naruto was married to Yakumo and had a child with her. She refused to come out of her room where they were staying in Orgrimmar. He honestly didn't blame Naruto though, he knew he was shunned all his life and couldn't notice that Hinata was in love with him. How could he when too many people hated him for what he held inside him? The abuses, the annual fox hunt on his birthday, and the hateful stares people would give him. He could guess that somehow, deep inside Naruto, he was happy he got banished, he finally got his freedom he had always wanted. He felt bad that he and the rest of the Konoha rookies were ordered to bring him back. He did not want to, he wanted to leave Naruto alone and live in peace with his family. But right now, he had to comfort his cousin, who was currently crying hysterically. They thankfully placed silencing seals in the room so no one from the outside could hear her cries. Kiba, being the idiot he always is, according to Neji of course, just blamed Naruto for this. Neji knew Kiba had a crush on Hinata. The Hyuga prodigy just thought he wasn't worthy of being with Hinata. In time Hinata will heal, but for now once they get back to Konoha, she will be pulled from active duty until Neji says otherwise. He left the room to leave her be and spotted Ino from Team Asuma walking up to him. Ino looked at him with a sad look. Poor thing, it's practically eating her. She will learn to let go, it may be for a long time until she does, but I know she will. Neji said. I just can't believe Naruto is married and has a child. The blonde young woman said. This is going to be a lot harder for us, but he has to return to Konoha, where he truly belongs. Neji inwardly frowned. The way she said, it's as if Naruto was nothing but property because he is a Jinchuruki. He decided not to say anything and went to his room for rest. They will be here for a few more weeks and then return home through the reverse summoning seal they placed outside the gates of the city thanks to Vol'jin's permission. The next day Vol'jin was currently with Naruto and his family in his hold. They were currently discussing about Konoha possibly wanting him back. Unbeknownst to them, Kakashi was on the roof hearing and watching them. Naruto removed his helmet revealing his blonde hair, blue eyes and the fox ears. Kakashi widened his eyes in surprise. The dragon-armored man with Vol'jin was Naruto all along. He broke out of his musings about Naruto and heard them speak. So what of these ninja from Konoha, brother? What are you going to do when they wish to take you back by force? Vol'jin asked. You already know my answer, Vol'jin. I will fight back. I am not going back to that hellhole. I have everything I have ever wanted here. I got acceptance, and I got a family. Why would I throw that all away for nothing? There is nothing for me there but pain. I am a soldier of the Horde. I am no longer a Konoha shinobi. It's also a good thing that I severed my contract with the Toads so they won't reverse summon me. Kakashi couldn't believe what he heard. He did not want to go back and was no longer loyal to Konoha. What was he going to do now? He knew once they come back and tell them Naruto is here in Orgrimmar, Jiraiya will come here and try to take him back. He then heard them continue speaking. They will most likely send Jiraiya. He is their spymaster and can get in and out quickly without detection. Naruto, we could head for Silvermoon City for a while or maybe in our clan keep in Alterac Valley. We haven't been there in a while, you know. And Drekthar would love to see Kyo again. Or how about visiting Kyo's auntie Sylvanas? I guess we can visit the old geezer and then Sylvanas. We haven't seen them in a while. He chuckled. But we will have to bring the Korkron Legion with me for security's sake, they are my men after all. Vol'jin, I agree brother, the Korkron Legion are our best fighting force with you as their commander. The Forsaken have taken a liking to you ever since you slew the Lich King Arthas, and the undead frost dragon Sindragosa. I got a massive scar on my back thanks to that undead dragon. Naruto grinned, Yakumo of course glared at him. Vol'jin laughed. Scars are treasured here in the Horde, you of all people should know that Yakumo. Don't encourage him Vol'jin, you do realize he almost died fighting Sindragosa. Yakumo turned to glare at the warchief. It's best if we just stay here. I'm tired of running from them, this time I will face them head on. Yakumo placed a hand on her husband's, we will face them head on, together. If things go south, you at least have the Korkron Legion by your side, and all of Orgrimmar. Vol'jin said, a grin on his face. Thank you Vol'jin. Naruto nodded to the warchief. You are my brother Naruto, I will always be by your side. Kakashi gulped nervously. Not only was Naruto a loyal soldier of the Horde, but the overall commander of their most elite soldiers. Tsunade is going to throw a fit, heck she might come here herself. He heard enough and returned to the inn. So that guy with the awesome dragon armor is Naruto. I find that hard to believe, he's supposed to be an idiot. Kiba screamed. A broadsword was then thrown at him and hit the wall, missing 3 inches from his nose. A group of Horde soldiers were growling at Kiba, approaching him. They were from the Korkron Legion, the Horde's most elite soldiers. We have had enough of your disrespect of the commander. A blood elf growled along with the rest of the group. They consisted of orc, trolls, tauren and blood elves. The Forsaken and the goblins had their own elite forces as they specialized in more subtle roles. This is not good. The rest of the Konoha nin except Hinata who was still in her room thought. We're deeply sorry for Kiba's stupidity. Tenten bowed in apology, he always speaks without thinking straight. Hey, Kiba protested, I was only stating the facts. How dare you? An orc drew his axe, ready to fight. That dog of yours will be punished. The legionnaires charged but was stopped by a thundering voice. Enough. A voice roared from the entrance from the door. There stood the commander of the Korkron Legion, Naruto Nakazakov, son of Thrall and member of the Frostwolf clan. Commander. The Korkron legionnaires bowed, we were just simply teaching them a lesson. The Blood Elf legionnaire stated. Return to your posts, I will deal with them. Naruto ordered. Yes commander. The Blood Elf replied with a nod, turning to his men he said, return to your posts. The men left the inn, leaving Naruto alone with the Konoha nin. He drew Shadowmourne, setting the tip of the axe's blade to the floor with a loud clang. That is a big axe, Tenten said, stars appearing in her eyes and started to drool at the large axe with its runes glowing red and orange. The rest of the Konoha nin stared at the blonde Hanyu, who was currently a high-ranking officer in the Horde. You haven't changed a bit in Izuka, never using your head. What was that dead last? Kiba growled. Kiba, that's enough. Kurenai scolded him. She then bowed to Naruto. We apologize for his brash behavior. We also apologize for the way you were treated during your childhood. Enough with your meaningless apologies. I know you are here not just as escorts for the merchants. You are correct, Naruto-san. Neji spoke up. We received information of a man with striking similarities to you living here in Orgrimmar from the sailors going back and forth from the elemental countries to here. We believed it was you, and we were correct. Tsunade-sama then ordered us to take you back if we found you. You of all people know I have no intention of returning. But Konoha is your home Naruto, it's where you belong. Sakura argued, but then found it hard to breathe when a blast of killing intent shot out from Naruto. You will speak, only when allowed to speak Haruno. Now shut up. Naruto roared, his last 3 words almost sounding demonic from the Kyuubi's chakra. His eyes turned blood red with slit pupils before returning back to their normal blue. The whisker marks briefly appeared as well when he flared the chakra, and then disappeared. Sakura couldn't speak. The rest of the Konoha nin were deeply shocked at Naruto's behavior. He truly had changed, or was that personality of happiness just a mask? Naruto, Kakashi began to speak but was interrupted. Yakumo entered the inn with their daughter. The infant reached out with her tiny arms. Naruto then smiled a genuine smile, a smile Kakashi had never seen before. He picked up his child and kissed her on the forehead. Papa just has some business to do. He returned Kyo to Yakumo, and turned to the Konoha nin with a glare. You will all do your business here until the merchants finish. Over the course of the next few weeks until the merchants leave, you will all be under heavy watch by my men. Do not do anything you will regret, lest you all wish to return home in body bags. He along with his family then left the inn, leaving the rest of the Konoha nin shocked. He just threatened to have us killed. Tenten gasped. Most unyouthful, Lee muttered. As if he can actually do anything to us. Kiba scoffed. Shut up, Kiba. It's your fault we're in this mess in the first place. Tenten glared at him. Tsunade-sama won't be happy about this. Guy said with his head down in shame, most unyouthful. Sakura just sat down on the chair, tears falling onto her lap. Naruto, I'm so sorry. 3 weeks went by. Naruto watched as the people from Konoha along with their merchant clients disappear with a poof of smoke from the transportation seal. With them returned to Konoha, they will definitely tell Tsunade about all of this. He is going to need to prepare the Legion for Jiraiya's arrival, and possibly Tsunade as well. He would like to avoid a bloodbath inside Orgrimmar, but that might be unavoidable considering how temperamental Tsunade can be. Whatever it is, he will be ready. You're telling me that Naruto Uzumaki is not only a soldier of the Horde, but the commander of their most elite forces. Tsunade said, her hands were shaking. This was news to her. Since Naruto left she hadn't heard from him in 8 years. Kakashi nodded, yes Tsunade-sama, and he has gotten certainly stronger. The pictures here show his Hanyu traits from him and his wife and daughter. Wife and daughter. Tsunade stood up, her hands on the table shocked with her eyes nearly popping out. He has a wife and daughter. Hi Tsunade-sama. He is currently married to Yakumo Kurama who disappeared on the same day Naruto was banished, and they have a daughter named Kyo. Kakashi said, gulping down nervously. Tsunade sighed, and sat back down in defeat. Unbelievable. So, mission aside, how is he Kakashi? I have to know. Honestly, I have never seen so happy before. The smile he gave his wife and daughter was a smile he never gave any of us. I think he was wearing a mask of fake happiness the entire time, and pretended to be an idiot. Kakashi gave the blonde Hokage a solemn look. I see, you are dismissed. Shizune who was in the room listening the entire time looked at her mentor with a desperate look. He is coming back, right? I don't know Shizune, I know we're being selfish, but he seems so happy there. Didn't you hear? He got the family and happiness he's always wanted. We should at least see him Tsunade-sama. He is also family after all. Tsunade nodded, we will Shizune, I promise you that. Just then an Anbu came in, with an auburn-haired woman with silver eyes, escorted by a teenage girl wielding a bow. The girl looked like a Persian princess. Lady Artemis, Tsunade said, her eyes widening with fear. She along with Shizune quickly bowed down before the goddess. You're back. Artemis glared at the blonde Hokage. Tsunade, where is Naruto? Where is my son? You banished my son. Artemis stared at the blonde Hokage, glaring daggers at her. I had no choice, it was either that or the entire village wanting his blood. Tsunade gulped. This was horrible timing. Artemis, goddess of the hunt, the moon, wildlife, virginity and birth, who was also Naruto's mother, making him a demigod. Why is my son hated in this village? He should be viewed as a hero. The people thought otherwise, because of the Kyuubi sealed into him, they thought he was the Kyuubi incarnate. Artemis gripped her bow, she was tempted to just eradicate this entire village from the face of the earth. But she knew Minato wouldn't want that, she knew how much her husband loved this village, but the people here somehow became toxic, damning her baby boy to a life of suffering. She had to find him. She will do everything to make it up to him, to explain to him why wasn't she there for him. At the same time she is scared, she knew he might hate her for leaving him. But right now, she had to know where he is. Where is my son now? In a country called Durotar, it's at the other side of the world. He swore his loyalty to that country and its warchief. He's married now, even has a daughter. Tsunade handed the goddess the picture that Kakashi left her. Artemis' mind was blank, she missed too much of his life. She took the picture with shaking hands, and gazed at it. There he was, an exact copy of her husband, but what confused her was that they had fox ears, probably the Kyuubi had a hand in this. She smiled sadly at the picture, he was happy. His smile radiating as he held his wife and daughter. Behind them was an extremely large wolf with a saddle on the back, he wore red-scaled armor, reminiscent of a dragon. His wife had chestnut-brown hair with chocolate-colored eyes. My lady, is this him? Her lieutenant asked. Yes Zoe, this is him, he looks so happy, he probably doesn't need me anymore. Tears began to fall down her cheek. Don't say that my lady, every child no matter how old they are will always need their mother. Zoe said with a stern voice. Artemis nodded, thank you Zoe. She wiped her tears and turned to Tsunade, is there anything else about him? He is the commander of the Horde's most elite fighting force, they are called the Korkron Legion. It seems that place is split between two factions, the Horde and the Alliance. Recent information from our squad say that the war just recently ended between them, but relations are still hot. Another thing, a dragon that can has the power equivalent to a god was also slain a few years back, by Naruto no less. A dragon by the name of Deathwing. Artemis and Zoe gulped. Naruto slew a dragon, and not just any dragon, but one whose power rivaled a god. Might as well call him a god slayer. Artemis then took another picture, and pride filled within her, there he was aiming a bow made of dragon bone and scales at a target. She looked at another picture and it showed him riding a wolf with his daughter. Is there any way to get there Tsunade? I have to get to him. There is, the transportation seal just at the gates. Use that and you will be at the gates of Orgrimmar, the city Naruto is living in now, you better hurry because Jiraiya is already there. Artemis, face contorted to one of rage, she absolutely despised the perverted man. Zoe herself frowned as he heard of this despicable man from Artemis herself, how extremely perverted he was, and was proud of it. He better hope I not see him near my son. Artemis growled and quickly exited the room, Zoe following suit. Tsunade sat back down, sighing in relief that the village had been spared. Naruto was currently at his home in the living, his wife preparing lunch while he watched over their daughter, now a year old a few days ago. They celebrated her birthday as a family, Vol'jin, Thrall and his family were present. Sylvanas sent a gift as she was not able to be there, despite the Alliance and Horde no longer at war, tensions were high and the Undercity was directly under Lord Eren, near Alliance borders in the Eastern Kingdoms. Naruto sat on the couch while Kyo was walking around the living room, the day she turned 1 was the day she finally learned how to walk. It was a happy day for the parents and they cheered. She was also a messy eater, placing her entire face on the cake. She was now playing with all her new toys that she got on her birthday, they ranged from stuffed toys to little rockers. Naruto smiled but then frowned, he sensed a presence, a familiar presence. The man he did not want to see at all, and his annoying voice. Nice place you got here Gaki. Naruto stood up and faced Jiraiya standing at his home's balcony. He walked up to him and caught Jiraiya off guard by kicking him, making him fall down the balcony and onto the ground down below. He jumped down with Shadowmourne in hand and stabbed the axe to the ground, the blade just half an inch from the Toad Sage's neck. You have a lot nerve coming here Jiraiya. Commander. Many legionnaires rushed up and pointed their blades and bows at the white-haired man. Naruto, I just came here to talk. Jiraiya said in a panic. He did not believe Naruto had changed and still assumed he was the overly cheerful boy from before. Naruto, Akatsuki are looking for you, you need to come back to Konoha so we can protect you better. Like hell I am. Naruto roared, his hand gripping Shadowmourne tighter. I am more than capable of facing them you damned hermit. I would like to see them try and attack the Horde. The Korkron Legion roared in agreement. Jiraiya gulped. He was in a pinch, He was surrounded by dozens of soldiers and Naruto with his axe's blade just half an inch from his neck. If he makes the wrong move, he is done for. He can't even risk moving his hands unless he wants to lose them. If you haven't heard Jiraiya, the Kyuubi is dead. He sacrificed himself to keep me and Yakumo alive. We both have his chakra. Besides, I have faced far worse than them. You have no idea of the battles I fought in this side of the world. Jiraiya's eyes were wide like dinner plates. The Kyuubi is gone and both Naruto and Yakumo have his chakra. Things just got more complicated. He looked at the armor Naruto was wearing. It reminded him of a dragon because of the dragon scales attached to it. And then there was the axe. It leaked dark energy, very dark energy, the runes glowing red and orange. He could sense the Kyuubi's chakra in it as well. It seems he is channeling the red chakra into it, empowering the weapon. Or was it already empowered? Leave Jiraiya, you are not welcome here. Please Naruto, I thought your dream was to become Hokage. A foolish dream created by a foolish child. I am not that foolish child anymore. I had a dream, and that was to start a family, which I already have. Legionnaires, escort him out of the gates. He lifted his axe, and don't even bother using chakra in here, we have created measures to prevent you from using them. The legionnaires then picked up the old hermit and escorted him out of Orgrimmar's main gate, literally throwing him out. Artemis and Zoe immediately teleported to the front gates, and the first thing they saw was Jiraiya being carried out by soldiers and thrown out, watching him fall onto the dirt. Artemis raised an eyebrow. It seems her son handled the situation quite well. The two huntresses hid themselves from him as they watched him head to the transportation seal with a defeated look. After he poofed out of existence, they approached the gates and simply entered. She then widened her eyes. There he was, her baby boy all grown up. He wore the dragon armor like in the picture, but then spotted his weapon, a gray axe with glowing red and orange runes. At the center where the handle was attached was the skull of a demon with its eyes glowing red. Naruto spotted them and her began to race, so many questions racing through her head. Naruto approached them. What are Alliance Rangers doing here? He demanded. Many of the Korkron legionnaires began to grip their weapons. Zoe noticed this. She remembered how tensions between the Alliance and Horde were high. She understood that perfectly. We're not with the Alliance, Naruto. Artemis replied. The Korkron commander narrowed his eyes. Who are you? My name Artemis, and this here is Zoe. As to who I am Naruto, I am you mother. Yakumo entered the scene with Kyo in her arms, and the words she heard was that this woman was her mother. Her eyes widened in shock at the declaration, as is the rest of the legionnaires in the area. A lot of questions were going to be asked. So let me get this straight, you are a goddess from another world, and that makes me a demigod. Naruto said, I find that hard to believe. If you really are my mother, then where the hell were you? Artemis flinched. I wasn't allowed to raise you. Why not? Naruto roared, growling as his eyes turned blood red and pupils going slit. Vol'jin, who was listening and watching the whole thing, stayed quiet. My father Zeus, your grandfather passed a law that prevented gods from raising their demigod children. He feared if that happened demigods would get too powerful and would overthrow him. The warchief looked into her eyes. He then spoke. She is not lying, Naruto, no matter how far-fetched this all is. It is not uncommon that she could be from another world, you know that. The orcs are originally from Draenor. That means there is a portal in the elemental nations, much like the dark portal. So it was because of him that you could not raise me. Artemis nodded. Then by my hands, he will die. Artemis and Zoe gasped at the declaration. Little brother, do you realize what you are saying? You are planning to wage war on Olympus. Zoe tried to change his mind. So what if I am? That pathetic excuse for a king is nothing but a paranoid old fool. Because of him, my childhood was hell. He is right, little huntress. Vol'jin interrupted. This Zeus, he must deposed. What's not to say he plans on killing your brother? Knowing how powerful he is now, he will not hesitate. And by attacking a Horde citizen, a soldier no less, is grounds for war. We are not afraid of gods, we have killed gods before, what is another? Artemis began to weep. I'm sorry, my son, I should have stayed. Naruto knelt down and hugged her. I forgive you, the one who should pay is your father. He is a powerful god, Naruto. So was Deathwing, and he was considered a god. He wanted to destroy this world, causing a great many cataclysms. Yet he was defeated by our combined forces. If anyone can defeat your father, we can. Zoe respected him, even though he was male and the huntresses of Artemis were known their world to hate males, she respected her younger brother. He was an honorable no, not boy, man. I see you have grown into a fine man, little brother. He smiled at her. I endured, that's why. Though there are still a great many things I wish to experience. He said, looking at his mother, like what it feels like to have a mother. Artemis sniffed, her eyes leaking out more tears. She tightened the hug on her son. I promise, I will make it up to you, that is a promise of a lifetime. Yakumo, who was there as well, just stayed quiet, smiling at the scene. Just by hearing Artemis say, a promise of a lifetime. She knew that she was her mother. She then stood up and walked up to them. I think somebody wants to meet you. She handed Artemis her daughter. Kyo, meet your grandmother. Artemis took her. The child didn't even cry and just smiled. She's beautiful, she said. Baba baba baba, Kyo mumbled. Zoe giggled. Was that her first word? No, it was mama actually. Naruto shook his head with a chuckle. Mama, Kyo shouted. See, indeed, little brother. You told me, Mom, you and the huntresses were man-haters. I expected you to hate me, not accept me. I am loyal to Lady Artemis, and I somehow already knew you would be a good man. And plus, you are family. Thank you, older sister. Naruto smiled. I suspect I would have to come to this camp you were talking about earlier. Unfortunately, it is usually required for all demigods to come. Honestly, I hate that place. Zoe grumbled. I can imagine, but I worry that my wife and daughter are not welcome. I will make sure that you are welcome, Naruto. Chiron, the camp administrator, will allow them in. Artemis reassured him. When the time comes, the Korkron Legion will march in. They are my men and my charge. I believe the Horde establishing an outpost there will benefit us greatly. Vol'jin said. Agreed. Naruto nodded. It will also show them that we are a force to be reckoned with. My father Zeus will not be happy. Naruto's mother reminded them. He can complain like a spoiled child all he wants. He will think twice before messing with me and my family. Naruto declared. There is also another one you should be wary of, Heracles. Because of him, I lost my immortality. He just used me in order to complete his quest. Zoe growled. Then when I see him he will die as well. Naruto growled with his sister. Naruto, I know you are a man with honor, but please try to keep the killing to a minimum. You will attract unwanted attention. Yakumo said, giving him a small glare that caused him to gulp. Yes, dear. Artemis and Zoe giggled. At least he is wise enough to listen to his wife. So how long will you two be staying here? A few days wouldn't hurt. I have a reinforced shadow clone doing my job until we get back. Your other sisters are at Camp Half-Blood as we speak. Yakumo nodded. I see. Well, you are both welcome to stay at our home. We have a few guest rooms in there. And don't worry about the soldiers, especially the men here in Orgrimmar. They are not glaring at you because you two are women, but because you look like Alliance Rangers like Naruto mistaken you both for. Tensions are still high. We understand. It's surprising that my son already fought in a war already. Artemis replied, by the way, this stuffed toy Kyo has is really nice. She got that from Sylvanas a few days ago, she just recently turned 1. Sylvanas is a dark ranger of the Forsaken, and her archery skills here in Azeroth have met no equal. She is a brilliant commander, but also ruthless. Best not to get on her bad side, even I have trouble fighting her whenever we get the chance to spar. She has ways of countering attacks from those far more powerful than her. You seem to respect her greatly. Zoe noted. I do. She is a great friend but also a terrible enemy. She shows no mercy to anyone who crosses her. Well, enough of this, we should all head back to our place, it's getting late. Vol'jin, I will see you later. The warchief nodded. Of course, brother. So you were thrown out of the city, and before that, you broke into his home. Do you realize how stupid you are by doing that? Tsunade glared at the toad hermit currently on his knees. Jiraiya nodded in shame. Not only that, but Lady Artemis is back. Jiraiya widened his eyes. Oh Kami. She is most likely taking him back to her world. I do not want to cross her, so as much as I hate to say it, Naruto is out of our reach. But he's the child of prophecy. Without him the shinobi world will die. I know that, damn it. But what can we do? I want Naruto back as much as you do, but I do not want to destroy his happiness for our own selfish reasons. But we need him. Tsunade snapped at him. He doesn't care about us. He stopped caring the day we banished him. It's no one else's fault but our own. Artemis was horrified at the sight, a large scar on her son's back with a smaller one below it. They looked like claw marks. How did this happen? Who did this? Her name was Syndragosa, a frost worm. Naruto answered. A frost worm? Zoe was the one to ask, a bit horrified at her brother's scars. Undead frost dragon. Undead. Artemis gasped. Yes, I read some of the other gods from this book you gave me. Our souls are not tied to your world even if we step foot there. Right, I almost forgot about that. Artemis face palmed. Another thing you have to be careful when we get there, Naruto, is that you are not tied to the fates. That will anger the three of them greatly. So they will be upset that my life is not in their hands. Naruto scoffed. Pathetic, how greedy are the gods of your world are. Very. Unfortunate to say. And be careful around your uncle, my twin brother, he will flirt with anyone. If he flirts with my wife, he will die. Artemis and Zoe laughed. I would like to see that. They both said at the same time. Naruto put on a shirt that had the Frostwolf clan's symbol on the back. Artemis could not help but look at the symbol. What does that symbol mean, son? It is the symbol of the Frostwolf clan, which me and my family are adopted into thanks to Thrall adopting me as his son. They are a clan of orcs that specialize in taming wolves and using them as steeds and companions. Artemis smiled. Her son is even more like her than ever, even using wolves as companions, so that wolf outside is yours. Naruto grinned. Storm. Yeah, he is. Amazing companion to have. I take him with me when I go wyvern hunting, one of them being the Rathalos, which is the armor I am wearing in that bow you see over there beside Shadowmourne. When the goddess looked at the axe, she was a bit concerned. I've been meaning to ask about that axe of yours. It looks evil. Naruto finished the sentence. Well, at first it is, but when I held it for the first time, some of the Kyuubi's chakra somehow went into it, completely purging the evil energy within it. As to how I got it, I forged it alongside the Knights of the Aben Blade. Why would you forge such a thing? Zoe grew concerned as well. I had to. It was the only way to defeat the Lich King. When we fought him and the Scourge, you have no idea how powerful he is. It was thanks to Shadowmourne that I was able to match him in strength. After that, I knew I had to get stronger, so that I can be ready for other dangers that lie ahead. You are so much like your father. Artemis said with a smile, but then noticed her son's face going sour at the mention of it. Naruto, what's wrong? I do not want to talk about him. He was the reason why I had a horrible childhood to begin with. Naruto, he had no other choice. Artemis tried to reason with him. I know that. He snapped, but then looked remorseful for snapping at her. But it still hurts, that he used his own as an ancestor's damned sacrifice. I just felt so used. Artemis was saddened by how bitter her son can be. Zoe on the other hand could understand how he felt, being used. They then continued to listen to him. Do you know how much I had done for that village? Hell, it took me a while to finally realize who my father was. The old man Sandame wouldn't even bother telling me, always telling me it was for my own safety as he had so many enemies. After that I gave up and stopped caring. After they kicked me out of the orphanage when I turned 5, that's when my life got worse, and it was also the best year, because that's when I met Yakumo. Yakumo, who listened in, walked into the living room where they were and hugged him from behind, listening to him speak and calming him down. They kicked you out of the orphanage. They always thought you were the fox. Artemis growled. The blonde Hanyu nodded. Every birthday I had, the villagers would hunt me down on one of their annual fox hunts. The abuses I received, the hates, the stares, that's when I started putting on a mask, one that always showed I kept smiling and being cheerful. With the help of the Kyuubi himself, he trained me, teaching me techniques, but I had to hide them so they wouldn't be suspicious. In turn, I became the Dobi, the dead last. After retrieving their precious Uchiha, I was banished because I injured him too much. Artemis sat down on the couch with tears in her eyes, Zoe rubbing her back trying to comfort her. Naruto sat down beside his mother and placed an arm around her. The day we arrived here in Orgrimmar was the best day of our lives. We built this house, started a new life together, and then came Kyo. Honestly, even with everything that has happened, I wouldn't trade it for anything else. I'm so proud of you, I just wish that I was there with you. Nothing we do can change the past, but we can at least look forward. My worries right now are Konoha. They have the gall to ask me to come back. I have no intention of coming back. Jiraiya claimed it was for my own safety because of Akatsuki. They are after all the Jinchuricas. I am not letting them take you. Artemis growled. There was no way they are taking her baby boy away. Nor will I allow them. They have no idea what the Horde is capable of. Naruto reassured her. Dinner is ready, by the way. Kyo is probably making a mess already. Yakumo notified them. We better eat before the food gets cold. They all nodded and made their way to the dining room. As Yakumo said, Kyo was already making a mess with her food. Baby food was all over her face, making everyone laugh. Inwardly, Naruto wondered what her mother's world would be like. What new adventures await him? What new creatures will he get to slay? What battles will he fight in? Something on your mind, Naruto? Artemis asked, her fork digging into the steak. Just wondering what your world is like. I can't help but feel a little excited. Naruto chuckled. I mean, are there any beasts there worth hunting? I am hunter after all. The goddess and her lieutenant grinned. Yes, there are a lot of creatures worth hunting there. Many beasts of old still roaming the forests and plains. Although the world is much more modernized compared to here. Naruto gave his mother a matching grin. Then I cannot wait till we leave in a few days. My father Thrall will be arriving tomorrow. I'm sure you would like to meet him. His wife Agra is at their home at the other side of Orgrimmar. We can meet with them tomorrow once he arrives. I would like that. I want to give him my thanks for taking you in. Baba baba baba. Kyo shouted, throwing her bowl up into the air, the food landing all on Zoe. Zoe picked a piece of the baby food from her face and tasted it. Not bad. I thank you, Thrall, son of Durotar. For taking in my son. I am eternally grateful to you. Artemis bowed towards the former warchief of the Horde. It was rare for someone like Artemis to thank a male, even more surprising towards someone who isn't. This man took in her son. Thrall bowed in return. Naruto told him of the reason why she couldn't raise him, and he was upset. For Artemis' father to pass a law that prevents them from raising their demigod children out of fear they may become too powerful. The king of Olympus was just paranoid, fearful he might get overthrown. Naruto informed him of his intent to slay the king, and to Naruto's surprise, Thrall approved of his plans. It was my honor to have taken in such a fine young man. And welcome to our humble home. We thank you for your hospitality. Artemis said in return. Zoe also bowed in respect. She could tell Thrall was a powerful man. She could also sense Naruto inherited some of his personality from him. Things went well. Even with Artemis and Zoe's man-hating beliefs, they found no faults with Thrall. They were surprised at the equality the Horde had with women. Many of them were even officers in the military. Some even became chieftains of different clans. She then began to think how much the hunt would love it here. So Naruto will be leaving with you too in a few days' time? Thrall asked. Yes, it is my intention to show him his heritage at least. Artemis said with a nod. Thrall nodded with a smile. That is good. To know one's heritage is to know one's self. That Pandaren would always say that. I have no objections of him coming with you. I would also assume his family is coming as well. Yes, father, they will be coming with me. Naruto was the one to reply to that question. Very well then, I do hope you all have a safe trip. Thrall then clapped his hands. Now then, let us have our lunch. As they got up, Thrall placed a hand on his son's shoulder. What is it, father? Are you sure about your decision? I am, father. Naruto nodded. As agreed, 6 months must pass, correct? Thrall nodded, not with a frown but with a smile. I'm proud of you, to have made this decision with your family. He was certainly not what I have expected from a man. Zoe said, the people of this world are different. She and her brother were outside the clan home, sitting on a bench as they watched the people go about their daily lives. Perhaps, but there are also those who have succumbed to the evils of this world as well. Naruto said, it all depends on the individual. My views on most men still stand though. And I respect that, but also learn to examine them first, see what their intentions are. Then you will know if he is guilty or not. Besides, I don't want any man touching my older sisters. Zoe giggled and lightly punched him on the arm. These minotaurs of your world, they resemble the Tauren, just, well, they are really ugly. Zoe laughed. They aren't they? I bet the Tauren would love nothing but to eradicate them, thinking them as an insult to their race. No doubt, Naruto chuckled, if I showed this to Bane, he would flip. Who's Bane? Zoe tilted her head. Bane Bloodhoof, the chieftain of the Bloodhoof clan of the Tauren, he succeeded his father in becoming chieftain. Cairn Bloodhoof, rest his soul. Zoe placed a hand on his shoulder, seeing the sad look on his eyes, I can tell this Cairn was a good person. He was one of my father's closest friends, he was also one of the teachers who taught me how to wield a weapon. As for the bow, it came to me naturally. But when it came to hand combat, he taught me everything I knew, he was like a second father to me. I'm sure he is in a better place. Zoe said in reassurance. That he is. Naruto sighed, spotting his wife and mother with Kyo, approaching them. So how is my baby girl? Yakumo put her on the ground, and let her daughter walk up to her father. Papa. Naruto smiled and picked her up when she approached him. I really hope this camp half-blood will cause no problems to me and my family. They won't. I will make sure of that. Just watch out for the Ares cabin, they like to fight. And the Aphrodite cabin, the girls there will try and flirt with you. Yakumo growled, they do that, they will die. Artemis laughed, you would make a great huntress. Maybe, but I'd rather settle as a wife and mother. Yakumo smirked in return. So how long till we leave? Naruto asked his mother. 3 days at the latest. Once we get there we will make a stop at our camp to meet with your other sisters. I hope they won't try to kill me, they are man-hating hunters after all. Naruto said with a straight look. They won't. Artemis giggled, they already know about you. Thank goodness. The blonde Hanyu sighed in relief, causing the rest to laugh. Earth. Few days later. A group of young girls were in a camp with tents assembled in small circles, these were the huntresses of Artemis. They were all awaiting the return of their lady. The one in charge of them was a huntress named Phoebe. The hunters were few in numbers, numbering to about a dozen or more. They then heard footsteps from the other side of the camp. Lady Artemis has returned. One of the hunters called out. All of them gathered around, spotting Artemis and Zoe with 2 more people, one of them a brown-haired woman with fox ears holding a purple-haired infant with similar fox ears. With them was a man in red dragon scale armor. This must be their lady's son. Hello girls. Artemis greeted her hunters. I would like you all to meet my son Naruto, his wife Yakumo and their daughter Kyo. Naruto bowed to them in respect, surprising the hunters that a man would greet them in such a manner. Yakumo bowed as well while Kyo clapped her hands and grinned, gaining a couple of AWWS from the hunters. They then notice a massive wolf behind them. Ah, I almost forgot, this is my wolf. His name is Storm, he has been my companion on every hunt I went. Do you hunt dragons in your world? I can't help but notice that you are wearing dragon scale armor. One of the hunters asked with curiosity. Not dragons, but wyverns, this armor is crafted from Rathalos wyvern scales. Took me 3 months to track him down. Lots of beasts to hunt there, it's practically a hunter's paradise in there. Many of the hunters had stars in their eyes. Hunting is what they lived for, besides killing horrible men, that is. Naruto and his family will be staying with us for a while, until we head to Camp Half-Blood. The camp again? One of the hunters asked, causing all of them to groan. The more I hear of the camp, the more I am beginning to dislike it. Naruto turned to his mother. He removed his helmet, revealing his blonde hair and fox ears, along with his sky blue eyes. Zoe told me the Ares cabin likes to pick a fight with you guys. You have no idea. Phoebe walked up to him and extended her hand. I'm Phoebe, your other older sister. Naruto smiled and took the hand. I have a lot of older sisters, my family seems to be growing bigger. Well then everyone, come meet your niece. Yakumo set down Kyo onto the ground. The child looked at them with her. Kyo then grinned. Phoebe squealed and quickly grabbed her in a hug. Oh god, she's so adorable. Zoe gawked. She had never seen Phoebe like that before, ever. Naruto scooted over to his eldest sister and whispered to her, you told me she was the tough girl of the group. She is. Zoe whispered in reply. I guess Kyo brought her inner girl. Well, this is going to be an interesting stay. He looked at the large tree in the camp that seemed to have a flat surface on the top. I can set up camp up there, it will be easy. Are you sure? You can just set up a tent with us. Zoe told him with a raised eyebrow. Camping habit. Whenever I go hunting I always set up camp where I can get a good vantage point. Besides, we Hanyas can jump pretty high, it wouldn't be a problem for us. Zoe nodded in understanding. Naruto reached into his pack and took out a large piece of raw meat and threw it at Storm, who immediately caught it with his canines and begun devouring it. Many of the girls couldn't believe a wolf this size existed, it's nearly as big as a horse. He patted Storm on the head as the wolf in question munched on his lunch, growling in glee. The Hanyu then reached in for another pack that was on a cart pulled by Storm. He reached in for a wooden shaft a yard long with bladed head about 2 feet long. Why are there so many spears in the cart? Phoebe walked up to him, still holding Kyo. Naruto grinned. These aren't spears, these are arrows. Everyone except for Zoe, Artemis and Yakumo stopped what they were doing and unhinged their jaws. Those are arrows. Phoebe stammered. Designed for killing big game, really big game. Naruto replied. He took out another item from the cart, it unfolded itself, revealing it to be a very large bow crafted from the same wyvern scales of the Rathalos. And this is it, the prominence. Designed to shoot down and kill wyverns and dragons. Once Kyo is old enough, I am going to teach her everything I know how to hunt them. Papa papa papa. Kyo shouted in joy, despite not knowing what her father is talking about. She of course got another squeal and hug from Phoebe. Naruto's sweat dropped at the girl who was supposed to be toughest girl in the hunt. Dinner is ready, Artemis called out to everyone. Yep, this world is interesting. He set a large pack down that had armor with green scales. Naruto, you never showed that one. What is that? Rathian armor for gunners or archers. Bow arm over here has carapace guards. Overall the bow arm is the most protected, just like in archery. Artemis beamed with pride at her son, to be able to use what you kill and craft equipment out of it. Oh, she just had to know more, maybe even make new bows for her and her girls. Digging into her bowl of soup she noticed what looked to be a large fang in the pack. What's that? Lao Shan Lung scale, a dragon believed to be as large as a mountain, never seen it of course, just spotted this scale and bought it from a traveling merchant. The monsters I hunt are from the small continents called Naru between the elementals and Kalimdor, that's where I get most of my equipment forged. It's my dream to hunt this dragon, how exciting it is to hunt something that big. He said with a gleam in his eyes. A dragon the size of a mountain. Phoebe gawked, her food nearly coming out of her mouth. Naruto nodded as he took a bowl and bread. Yeah, I'm no master hunter like the more experienced ones out there, but I know my stuff. The only elder dragon I've hunted is a Kirin. He took out a book where he listed all the monsters he encountered and turned a page, showing them what a Kirin looks like. It looks like Phoebe begun speaking, a white unicorn. I know, right? I don't know why it's classified as an elder dragon, but don't be fooled, This thing is fast, and has the ability to call thunder strikes from the sky. It's beautiful. Artemis looked at the image. It is, yet deadly at the same time. I myself had a few close calls hunting it. Thunder strike patterns are random, so it's hard to predict when it's going to attack. Are there any female hunters where you're from as well? One of the hunters asked. Oh, there are plenty. Hunting is for all people who wish to take it up. It's a big profession in those continents and their way of life. Yakumo started feeding Yakumo some baby food and spoke up. We plan on moving there once Naruto retires from military service in half a year's time. It's an amazing place, and hunting there is the main source of income for the people there, which I sometimes do with my husband. Discrimination there is also non-existent. The hunters were enamored by the world Naruto is from, now they really want to go there. That place seemed to be a hunter's paradise for them. My lady, we have to go there. Another hunter said. We will Atlanta, right now we eat or the food gets cold. Artemis laughed. She can't blame them for being excited about the world her son lives in. She too wanted to see what that place is like. Naruto grinned. Don't worry, older sisters, I'll take you all there. The hunters cheered. They will all soon go in a hunting trip like never before. But then stopped when they heard rustling. Popping out of the bag was white-furred feline. Yoshi, what are you doing here? Naruto stood up in surprise. The feline meowed. I know that, but how in the world did you get in? I thought you stayed back home. More meowing. Alright, fine, you can stay with us. Naruto, who is that? Artemis asked. And what exactly is it? It looks like a walking cat. Everyone meet Yoshitsune. Yoshi for short. He's part of the feline subspecies of the Linian native to Naru. They make great hunting companions and amazing chefs. Yoshi here is a hunter-gatherer. He feline bowed, and meowed. The reason you haven't met him, Mom, is because he was running an errand for Yakumo. By the way, did you finish it? The feline nodded and reached into his small acorn pack, taking out a couple of leaves. Oh, you brought the herbs with you, that's great. Yakumo smiled. Just set them down here, Yoshi, I'll take care of them later. She pointed to the tree stump. Yoshi meowed and set it down on the tree stump. Naruto handed him a bowl of soup and bread. Phoebe couldn't keep her eyes off the feline, he was too cute. She liked cute things. Sister, I know what you're thinking, but please control yourself, we are still eating dinner. Naruto said in a monotone voice. Phoebe pouted and continued eating, staring at the feline eating his dinner. So how soon do we all go for a hunt? Naruto couldn't resist asking. Tomorrow we resume our hunts. Artemis replied. I want to see how you do. Alright. Naruto smiled. Deal. Better get my Rathian armor cleaned up, been a while since I've used it. They continued eating when Atlanta spoke up. Can you tell us one of your hunting quests? Naruto smiled. Oh, where to begin? 2 years ago. Roar. 18-year-old Naruto, wearing his Rathian armor and wielding his trusty prominence bow, was jumping from tree to tree in the mountain forest of Yakumo, named after the village of the same name. He was sweating profusely. The Jinoga was proving to be a tough hunt for him. He heard the roar getting louder, the trees toppling over from the distance and the rustle of other trees. He was running out of time. Come on, Yoshi, that trap better be ready. He jumped to another tree and made his way into a clearing where the feline was just yards away behind a bush. He jumped onto the ground and ran as fast as he could. And there he came, the Jinoga, shooting lightning bolts from the trees. Its glowing blue eyes and fur aligned with the scaled claws on its well-developed limbs. It was a sight to behold despite the number of arrows embedded on him. Present time. Jinoga. Atlanta grabbed the book her brother brought with him. Whoa, that is something else. You hunted this? She showed her other sisters the book and gasped at the beast. Naruto nodded. That's right, and he was a tough one. He then continued the story. Back to the story. The young hunter ran as fast as he could into the bushes where their trap was waiting. He dove into the bush as the lightning bolt shot at him was mere inches away from hitting him. He drew his prominence bow and steadied his aim, the beast coming right at him. And then the ground below the beast collapsed. The beast, enraged by this, shot more lightning at random areas, hoping to kill the hunter. Naruto let loose a volley of arrows while Yoshi threw bombs at it. Its chest weakening, Naruto aimed for it. He exhaled and loosed the arrow. Time seemed to slow for a few moments as the arrow flew right for the beast's heart, striking it dead. The Jinoga let out one last roar and fell dead. Naruto was panting. Some pieces of his armor were torn from the close encounters with the Fanged Wyvern. Wounds were already beginning to heal thanks the red chakra living inside him, but it did not recover him from exhaustion and some bodily pain. He fell to his knees while Yoshi brought him an energy drink. "Thanks," he said to the feline as he took the bottle. "Ancestors, was that tough?" He fell to his back and gave out a weak laugh. "I did it," he silently screamed in victory. He finally slew his first Jinoga. That was the day he also started to make a name for himself, for someone so young to slay an immensely powerful beast. Present time. The hunters were all bug-eyed after the story. Now they really wanted to come there and start hunting those monsters. Naruto chuckled. There was also this one time a spoiled princess from one of the kingdoms wanted a gobel for a pet. I mean, she offered 100,000 zeni for it. I wasn't about to pass up on such an offer. For me it meant one step closer to buying a really nice house there. Besides, I've hunted gobel several times. It was not a very difficult hunt to do when you already know how to hunt one. So where do you plan on moving after you leave the Horde military? Phoebe asked. Yakumo village, around where I killed my first Jinoga. That place is just absolutely beautiful as Pandaria. The hot springs, the air, and the people, it is just, I really don't know how to put it in words. Naruto gave out a happy sigh. Yakumo nodded. It's our dream home. Soon we will be able to live there. Thrall gave us his blessings already, so he just gave him the condition that he remains in the military for another 6 months. Artemis smiled, but then realized how late it was. All right, girls, it's getting late and we have to be up early tomorrow for our quest. Many of the younger hunters groaned in displeasure, wanting to hear more stories from their brother. I'll tell you more tomorrow, girls, listen to mother. Naruto said, chuckling at them. Tomorrow the hunters have a quest to find 2 children of Hades. Yoshi touched Phoebe's knee, wanting to introduce himself personally, seeing she kept looking at him. Phoebe on the other hand tried really hard not to squeal and grab him in a life-squeezing hug. Felines were just too damn cute. Mother, what did you do to my axe? Artemis giggled at her son, handing him a silver ring. I blessed it along with your armor and weapons. They are now more sturdy than ever and can kill the creatures of this world. As for your axe, I turned it into a ring that you can take anywhere. Just twist it and it will turn back to its original form. Naruto took the ring and gave his mother a kiss on the cheek. Thanks, Mom. Anything for my son. Now let's all get going. We have to find Hades, children. Perseus Jackson stared in shock as several arrows struck the disguised manticore named Dr. Thorn. Inwardly, he thanked the gods for the interference as he wanted nothing more than to get back to Camp Half-Blood and have a nice, peaceful time just once. His best friend Grover Underwood just had to get into trouble today. Was it too much to have a break from monsters? Apparently so. The hidden monster hissed in pain as he plucked the arrows out. Percy's friend and crush Annabeth Chase sighed in relief. The hunters. To his right, a raven-haired girl dressed in punk clothes groaned, named Talia Grace groaned, "Oh, wonderful." The son of Poseidon looked to where the arrows flew from, and was shocked when he spotted hooded girls around his age, some even younger than him. But what confused him was one of them was male and looked like he was at least 18 to 20 years old, wearing green dragon scaled armor with some kind of cap with goggles on top. His left arm had a carapace guard to where he was wielding a massive bow that looked like it was made out of red dragon scales along with leather straps with different pockets and equipment attached to it. One of the hunters that had red long black hair with a silver circlet around her head, draws her bow further back. Before she spoke, "Shall I end it, milady?" "You cannot do this. It is against the law." Dr. Thorne snarled in outrage and fear. On the contrary, an auburn-haired girl with silver eyes at the age of 12 to 13 years of age, "My quarry are all wild animals, Manticore, and your kind are pretty much counted as wild animals. Zoe, you may end it. Zoe loosed the arrow and struck on the beast's chest, making it fall to the ground dead. A good kill, older sister. The green-armored male hunter congratulated Zoe. Zoe smiled and put her bow away as he walked to her younger brother's side. Percy looked at the man. Who are you? My name is Naruto, little boy, that is all you need to know for now. The male hunter replied to the 15-year-old boy. Artemis walked up to the children of Hades, both of them huddled on the ground. The older sibling, who was a girl of Perseus' age, grasped her younger brother tighter. Who are you people? She asked them hesitantly. My name is Artemis, child, Greek goddess of the hunt, moon, virginity and childbirth. I have come here to see you and give you an offer. But first, you must know who your father is, Bianca D'Angelo. That's impossible, both our parents are dead. Bianca retorted. He is not, Bianca. Naruto said, he is the lord of the underworld. Lord of the, is this some kind of joke? Bianca asked, her grip on her younger brother tightening. Nico, do you know what they are talking about? The little boy of 10 nodded his head in a vigorous manner. Our dad is. Naruto knelt down beside his mother and clamped his mouth shut. Names are very powerful in this world, Nico D'Angelo. Never ever forget that. He then turned to Zoe. Older sister, we will take her with us and have a few words with her. I know, little brother. Zoe smiled. I will have a perimeter set up, milady. Artemis nodded in thank and took placed a hand on her son's shoulder and one on Bianca's. They then disappeared in a silver light. What the? Where'd they go? Bianca opened her eyes to find themselves in the snowy forest somewhere near Westover Hall. The male hunter and Artemis looked at her. As I said, Bianca, I am here to make you an offer. I wish to make you one of my hunters. Bianca widened her eyes and listened in as Naruto spoke next. But we are also here to tell you what will happen should you join. Your brother does not have the same choice you have, if you join the hunters. Your brother won't be coming with you. Percy was pacing back and forth. Where are they? They've been gone for almost 10 minutes. I'm sure they're fine. Lady Artemis is with them. Grover replied. But what about that other guy? None of us has ever seen him before. He could be a spy for all we know it. Zoe snapped and placed a dagger to his neck. Speak ill of my younger brother again, boy, I dare you. Hey, what's the big idea? Talia growled. And why do you people have a guy with you? He is different, he is our brother. Zoe narrowed her eyes at the punk girl. They all shielded their eyes when a flash of silver light appeared at the center. Artemis, Naruto and Bianca then appeared before them. Nico ran up to his sister and gave her a hug. The two hunters approached Zoe. Her answer was no, she did not want to be away from her brother. Zoe nodded in understanding. What offer? Percy asked in suspicion. She offered me to become one of her hunters. Bianca answered, widening the eyes of the son of Poseidon. What? No, she has to go to Camp Half-Blood. Thwack. A large yard-long arrow with the head almost 2 feet in length flew to the left of Percy's head, embedding itself onto the tree. Know your place, son of Poseidon. Or did you not listen that she already said no to the offer? Naruto, Artemis spoke softly to her son. Naruto bowed to his mother. Forgive me, I was out of place. Artemis just nodded. She turned to Bianca and told her, I will respect your decision, family is important after all. But know this, there will always be a place for you. Thank you, Lady Artemis. Bianca bowed in gratitude. I can see why you don't like Camp Half-Blood. Naruto said, carrying his daughter with him while Yakumo was chatting with her mother-in-law. I expected more from these demigods. Zoe groaned and nodded. Now you know how I feel, not to mention we get into fights sometimes with the Ares cabin. Ah yes, you told me about them, you said they can be quite arrogant and boastful. The huntress sighed, you have no idea, little brother. Ah hey there, little sis. Shut up, Apollo, and we're twins. Artemis shouted at her idiotic twin brother. Apollo just waved her off and stared at the brunette fox girl. Hey there, beautiful. Naruto's eyes went blood red. Hold her for a second. He handed Kyo to his older sister and stomped his way towards the idiot hitting on his wife. He grabbed the sun god by the throat, red mist seeping out of his body and an infernal growl. which got the demigods who were with them to huddle together in fear. Were you just flirting with my wife, uncle? He growled once more, his voice sounding very demonic. You must be my nephew, hey, hi. Apollo could feel the grip on his neck tighten. By Olympus, he's strong, very strong. Naruto, as much as I'm enjoying this, put him down. Artemis said sternly. Her son let him go, dropping him onto the ground, coughing and wheezing as he gasped for air. A feral dog-like growl was coming from Naruto, staring at him angrily. Yakumo simply intertwined her fingers with her husband's, and immediately his anger started to fade, his eyes turning back to their normal blue, and his whiskers disappearing from his cheeks. You just had to flirt with her, didn't you? Artemis gave her twin brother a deadpanned look. I didn't know. Know what, uncle? Naruto glared at him. Nothing. I said nothing. Apollo panicked. Many of the hunters laughed. It was priceless to see Apollo put in his place. Yakumo just rolled her eyes at the sun god and walked up to Zoe, smiling as Kyo was handed to her. Percy and his friends were shocked that this extremely beautiful fox lady was Naruto's wife. She was even far more beautiful than Aphrodite. And even more shocking that Apollo called him nephew. It's as if he was saying that he was Artemis' son, but that's not possible. She swore to a life of maidenhood. Apollo, I need your help. I need you to take the hunters and the demigods to camp. The hunters groaned. They did not want to go there. But first things first, no talking to my hunters and my daughter-in-law, and no flirting. Got that? Apollo nodded vigorously, not wanting to incur the wrath of his sister and nephew. Mom, where are you going? Naruto said. There is a beast out there as well. I did not tell you this, but I have a mission to hunt a creature that has the power to destroy Olympus. If it is a large creature, then I'm coming with you. As much as I want to let you come with me, now is not the time. I must go alone and use all my skills to hunt it down. Naru hunting rule. When hunting something you do know, never go alone. It will always end badly. I am not letting you go alone, Mom. Naruto's eyes were determined. He was not taking no for an answer. Besides, you wanted to see me in action. Well, here's your chance. He definitely is your son, Artie. He has your determination. Apollo chuckled. Artemis sighed. Apollo was right, her son does have her determination. She sighed but smiled at him. I wish you hadn't inherited my determination. Very well, you may come. Naruto smiled and turned to glare at Apollo. Flirt with my wife again, and you will die, I promise you that. Apollo gulped and nodded nervously as the hunters snickered. Yakumo gave her husband a passionate kiss that got the girls and even some of the hunters to blush in embarrassment at the scene. Stay safe, my love. I will, he replied. Before handing her the ring of Shadowmourne, she was about to protest before getting another kiss from him. There was just no argument to that. He then turned to the feline. You and Storm will take care of them, okay? Yoshi nodded and meowed, giving him a salute. With that, the mother and son left, leaving the demigods and hunters with Apollo and his chariot. Apollo's chariot then turned into a bus. He commented on the fact that Yakumo's brown hair was somewhat similar to Artemis' auburn hair. Naruto must have the same taste in women. He chuckled. All right, everyone. Next stop, Long Island. Who wants to drive? Yakumo twisted the ring and out came Shadowmourne in all its terrifying glory. She held it out like it weighed nothing and pointed it to Apollo's neck. You will drive, and because there is a baby on board, you will drive safely. She said in a very sweet tone. Apollo gulped once more, nodded in a panic. Yep, Naruto had the same taste in women as his father. Yoshi sat in the back with the rest of the hunters and Yakumo. He took out a rattle that Kyo absolutely loved and shook it, causing the baby to make a cute sound. Percy gawked at the cat. Walking cat, intelligent cat, he just could not process it. By the gods, a walking cat. Why is there a walking cat with them? Annabeth couldn't stop staring at the feline. It was something she had never seen before. As a daughter of Athena, she must know where they're from, what do they do, their diets, their behavior, their skills. She must know. Yoshi just sat there, unaware of the daughter of Athena wanting to know everything about his kind. Shaking the rattle as the 1-year-old Hanyu laughed and clapped her hands, watching the family feline shake her favorite noise-making toy. Yoshi meowed at Yakumo, to which she smiled at the feline and patted him on the head. I know, Yoshi, I'm sure they're fine, they'll be back in no time. Annabeth's jaw dropped. Yakumo understood what the cat was saying. Yakumo looked out the window and hoped her husband and mother-in-law are well, and that their hunt goes well without any problems. Zoe placed a hand on her shoulder, smiling at her in reassurance that everything will be fine. On their way to Long Island, where Camp Half-Blood, it suddenly started to rain. Thunder rumbling in the distance, Apollo began to worry that the thunder was not his father Zeus doing, something else is out there. So what are we after exactly? It's called the Ophiuchorus, a half-cow half-serpent that can grant the power to destroy Olympus to anyone who burns its entrails. That sparked Naruto's interest. The power to destroy Olympus, the power to destroy Zeus. A certain gleam was evident in his eyes, the type of look wanting to kill. Artemis looked at his son with worry. Immediately she regretted telling him about the Ophiuchorus. I know what you're thinking, Naruto. I know you want to kill my father for passing that law. Just let it go. I don't want you waging war against Olympus only to get my only child killed. He passed a law that prevents gods from raising their demigod children, expecting a demigod child to understand, a child. He snarled, clenching his fists. He is nothing but a paranoid and shameless man who blames the children instead of the parents for their blunders. He even has the audacity to demand loyalty from them when he deserves none. He scoffed, your father is nothing but a pompous, senile old fool. Artemis smiled. She was glad that he grew up to be a fine man, but also worried for him. He was letting his anger towards Zeus get to him. She inwardly sighed, it seems that he inherited her temper as well. They then stopped when Naruto began to stiffen, his body began to tremble. Naruto, what is it? Something is out there. They then drew their bows, Naruto inserting a poison coating onto his bow and readied an arrow. Something powerful, that was the feeling Naruto felt, and he did not like it one bit. It then started to rain, and then came the sound of a deafening roar in the distance. Artemis, for the first time in her life, could see the fear in her son's eyes. Whatever that roar was, Naruto knew it. Mom, we have to go back, now, you have no idea what had just arrived in this world. She heard his trembling voice. Just what could have possibly caused her son to shake in fear? Okay. Artemis nodded. They then made their exit, making their way to Camp Half-Blood. High above the skies over the Atlantic Ocean nearing New York, a large storm was approaching. The sky around it grew red like blood, its winds strong like no other storm before. The rain and winds of the storm were already touching the city of New York and the areas around it. We interrupt this program to bring you an update on the weather report. A large red storm is approaching New York. We advise all residents to stay indoors until the storm passes. The winds within the storm is said to be extremely strong at untold speeds. Once again, we please advise and urge everyone to stay indoors and stay safe. Bar all your windows to prevent the wind from entering your homes. The sheer size of this storm has never been seen before. According to our researchers, this is the largest storm ever recorded in existence. An unfortunate propeller airplane was flying through the storm, the pilot struggling to as the instruments in the plane went haywire. Below the plane, a large white serpent-like creature with fins flew below the plane, and then around it. The pilot could not believe his eyes at what he was seeing. The plane then entered the eye of the storm, as the pilot observed the beautiful creature fly above him, and then from within its mouth, came a beam of air and water slicing through the plane's fuselage. The pilot screamed in terror as he plummeted down into the sea. There revealed a dragon in all its beauty and splendor, spreading his white wings and fins. He had a shining luminescence all over his chest and a crown of gold atop his head. It then let out a deafening roar, a roar so powerful all of New York and Olympus heard it. The true god of the heavens has arrived. Artemis and Naruto got back to Camp Half-Blood safely. Every camper were in a state of confusion as to what that roar was. Naruto, Yakumo called out, running to her husband with relief in her voice. Tears were welling in her eyes as he was in her embrace. I feared the worst when we heard that roar. I'm here, love, we're all right. He kissed her scalp and stroked it. A man with horse legs walked up to them, surprise in his face when he saw the son of Artemis. He composed himself and put up a smile. So you must be Naruto, son of Artemis. And you must be Chiron. The hunter nodded his head in greeting. Chiron nodded in return. Well, normally we would introduce you to everyone right now, but that roar earlier got everyone in a state of slight panic. Not to mention a huge storm is coming our way, and this storm is nothing we have seen before. Lord Zeus isn't even responsible for the storm. This was a shocker to Artemis. What? Father isn't responsible? No, it's not. Tell me, Chiron, is the sky around the storm red like blood? Naruto said, gaining everyone's attention. Yes, it is. Come, everyone is at the big house, you can tell us there. Everyone quiet down. We have a new addition. This is Naruto, son of Artemis. Chiron announced, gesturing the green-armored hunter who bowed at them. This got gasps and whispers from the demigods, shocked that Artemis would sire a son, and give up her maidenhood. Alright everyone, as you all know, a very loud roar was heard all throughout New York and Olympus, and a storm that is coming, that is not Zeus doing. Naruto here claims he knows what that roar is. Oh yeah, a son of Ares scoffed, what is it then? Naruto ignored the boy, his name is Amatsumagatsuchi, an ancient dragon from my world called Azeroth. It is a dragon far older than the Olympians, and possibly as old as some of your primordial gods. Artemis gasped. Along with the hunters and the campers, Yakumo tightened her hold on her daughter. Chiron looked at male hunter wide-eyed, a dragon from your world. Naruto nodded. Amatsumagatsuchi, also known as the god of the heavens, the storm dragon, and heaven's judgment. A year ago, me and 3 friends hunted it down, it was a nightmare. 1 year ago. Roar. Get down. Naruto screamed at his teammates, dodging the water and air beam from the elder dragon. Naruto rolled to the side and loosed another shot from his prominence bow. Reiko, you okay? The lancer wielding an Agnictor lance nodded, panting, I'm fine. Sora isn't though, she's bleeding bad. We have to get out of here. The elder dragon was enraged, letting loose a full blast of tornadoes at them, causing the hunters to take cover behind very sturdy rocks. You don't have to tell me twice. Naruto shouted in reply. He picked up the huntress, who had Yakumo slicers on her back. She was trying hard to stay awake. Hold on, Sora. Reiko. Dino. Cover us. Right. The lancer and bow gunner nodded. Reiko with his large shield covered their escape. The door to their escape had to close from the outside, where the dragon was. Naruto handed Sora to Dino. Get her out of here, I'll close the door. No way, man. What about you? What about Yakumo? Dino protested. I'll think of something, now go. Naruto grabbed the old lever controlling the door, the wind getting stronger and stronger. His friends watched as he struggled to pull the lever, slowly closing the door, their eyes filled with horror that they were leaving their friend behind with the elder dragon. The ancient stone door closed shut, making a large thudding noise. Naruto took out his bow, ready to face the dragon alone. Amatsumagatsuchi let out a deafening roar once more. He was not going to allow himself die, not with his wife about to give birth soon. HRAAAAAAGH. Naruto roared in defiance, firing volley after volley of arrows. The battle raged on, a single hunter fighting a losing battle. Tossed and turned by the winds and the storm. His armor falling apart and wounds hindering him. He was on his knees, pointing the bow at the dragon as it slowly crept closer. The arrow tip only a mere inch away from the dragon's nose. Come on, come on. Naruto roared. Amatsumagatsuchi just stood there, fascinated by this man's courage to face him alone. And without warning, he turned away, flying away as the storm subsided. Naruto lowered his bow and sat there, wondering why the dragon decided to spare his life. Present day. He spared my life, and it still bothered me to this day, why he decided to spare my life. I nearly died that day. I turned up at Yakumo village, bloodied and bruised. Yakumo rushed up to me. She was still currently pregnant with our daughter. She sobbed on my bloodied chest, happy I was alive. Artemis stood there, her cheeks messy from the dried tears that flowed down her face from the story. She had nearly lost her son and she didn't even know it. Yakumo and Kyo were snuggled up on her son's chest, the baby asleep while Yakumo was silently crying on her husband's chest. I will tell you this, Amatsumagatsuchi is far more powerful than anything you might have faced. The people of Naru called him a god for a reason. The god of the heavens. Naruto said, his face showing worry. Chiron gulped. Zeus will not be pleased that a dragon flying in his domain was wreaking havoc. He feared that it might be more powerful than the king of Olympus, and now it was even considered a god of heavens, a title Zeus currently holds. A battle between the two is inevitable, and he wasn't sure who would win. All right everyone, back to your cabins, and make sure you secure yourselves, the storm will be here any hour now. Artemis walked up to her son. I have to return to Olympus, stay safe for now, okay? Naruto nodded and kissed his mother on the cheek. I will. A few hours later inside the Artemis cabin, which was expanded to accommodate the family, the hunters sat on the beds with worry on their face, appearing from their brother's world as a beast of unimaginable power, and it was headed straight for Olympus, which also nearly took their brother's life. They could hear the thunder of the storm, the winds raging outside. Yakumo was currently asleep with Kyo while Naruto looked out the window. The skies were becoming red. The hunters looked out as well and could practically feel the power coming from the storm. After all of this, we're going back to Azeroth. There is no way I am staying here knowing the king of Olympus wants me dead. I cannot afford to put my family in danger. Zoe nodded in understanding at her brother. She could tell that the fates were also angry at him. For someone of this world not tied to the fates, Zeus would want him dead even more. Ever since their arrival, everything just went crazy. She was even tempted to go back with him, knowing that she won't have to worry about the Olympians and the problems of this world. What of the dragon though? Is it going to stay here? I doubt it. Naruto shook his head. He will definitely go back through the portal it went through. I heard of legends of a portal at the ancient mountain where it resides. I'm not really surprised it is true, knowing that is not his domain. He will leave, but not for a few days. The storm will pass by tomorrow, but a fight between the king of Olympus and the elder dragon is inevitable. Many of the younger hunters were scared. Never had a beast of incredible power scared them before. Not that Naruto could blame them, he just told them of how it nearly killed him before sparing his life. It was obvious, it was a very intelligent being. We'll probably leave in a few days, we weren't planning on staying long anyway. Naruto muttered, his eyes never leaving the sight of the storm. Do you think we'll be able to fight it? Atlanta asked. Not a chance, even I couldn't beat it. With the equipment you all have right now, no. Better to leave it alone and plan ahead. I know you all faced beasts before, and I can tell may have died. If I was a member of the Hunters Guild police, I wouldn't even let you go within a few kilometers of it. The hunters reluctantly nodded. Naruto knew the dragon more than them, so they had to trust his judgment. So Atlanta asked her next question, what's the Hunters Guild? You never told us about that. Naruto looked at them and smiled. They are the governing body of Naru. They have outposts on every village within the continents. They work alongside the Elder Dragon Observation to monitor every species of monsters. The guild has outposts in almost every small village, also being able to evacuate these small villages if there are imposing threats. They are actively trying to recruit as many hunters as it can. The guild is responsible for many duties, including maintaining the status of every hunter operating within guild territory. This is done through the guild card, a personal ID that is updated every time a hunter registers him/herself at a guild outpost. The guild also reserves the right of suspending a hunter's license if the circumstances are appropriate. He reached into one of pockets and handed Zoe his guild card. She looked at it and passed it on to her sisters, who also looked at it. That also signifies that I'm a citizen of Naru, as a hunter. There are also events when a single monster is too much for even the guild to handle. therefore the guild would rally every nearby hunter in that area under a single banner and fight it. One such example is the Gen Morin, which is native in the continent Yakumo is in. Another one is the Lao Shan, but I've personally never seen it, seeing it is in another continent, which I haven't been to yet. He handed them his monster book, and turned to a page to where the Gen Morin was. That's the Gen Morin, an elder dragon that can literally swim through sand, so we built boats that could the same. Designed specifically to hunt it down. It's big, but not as powerful as the older dragons like the Amatsumagatsuchi or the White Fatalis. Turn to the next page, the White Fatalis is there. Phoebe nodded and turned the page. She widened her eyes for a bit, marveling at the beauty of the white dragon. The White Fatalis was slender, lightning shooting out of its body as it too had the power to control storms like the Amatsumagatsuchi. Yoshi walked in pulling a tray of drinks and sandwiches, stopping for a few moments to let them get their food and drink, muttering thanks to the feline. I forgot to mention, Yoshi is also an amazing cook. Naruto chuckled, scratching the back of his head. You know, the more you talk about your world, the more we want to actually go there, and possibly even live there instead of here. We're all demigods, and we are obliged to serve them. It's also the reason I joined the hunt. Lady Artemis was the only Olympian who was nice to us. Lady Hestia was also nice, but she isn't an Olympian. To be honest, I hate this world, it's given me nothing but pain and sorrow. Atlanta said, the hunt was the only best thing that's ever happened to me. Naruto looked at her with sad eyes. He walked up to her and patted her on the head. How long have you been in the hunt? A few months, I'm only 10. Atlanta replied. I don't know who my godly parent is, I'm still unclaimed. The door opened, revealing Artemis with a look of sadness and horror. Mom, what's wrong? They found out about you. Your uncle Apollo is also the god of truths. My father was extremely enraged that you had no loyalty to Olympus. He wanted you dead, but I refused. In turn, as punishment for my defiance, I was stripped of my status as an Olympian. I'm just a minor goddess now. He said that after they deal with the dragon he will come for you. Everyone's eyes were wide in shock. Naruto then quickly went into the room his family was sleeping in and woke his wife up. Naruto, what's wrong? Yakumo asked with worry. Pack your things and get Kyo, we're leaving, now. Yakumo nodded, deciding not to ask any more questions after hearing the tone in his voice. Mom, what about you? I don't care, as long as I'm with you. Girls, looks like you get your wish after all, we're going to Azeroth. Artemis smiled at the hunters, at which they silently cheered. There was no way she was going to let Zeus use her hunters to hunt down her own son. Yoshi, get Storm and the cart ready, we're leaving right away. Naruto ordered the feline. Yoshi meowed and nodded. Amatsumagatsuchi will be used as a distraction. He will stay within the city for a full day until he decides to leave. Mom, how far is it to the portal? A few hours walking distance from our previous campsite. The Olympians are too busy with the Elder Dragon, so we have a lot of time. Good. Everyone, we're leaving. And hope that we never hear from this place again. Using the cover of darkness and the distraction the dragon is giving them, they moved swiftly through the cover of the trees after they flashed out of Camp Half-Blood into the campsite when they arrived. They walked through the thick forest far away from New York where chaos was ensued. There it is. Atlanta pointed to a few stone formations with runes and purple misty doorway in the middle. Alright, once we go through the portal, Yoshi and I will plant a few bombs to destroy the portal, cutting access to Azeroth. Amatsumagatsuchi probably found his own portal somewhere in the ocean. My guess is it's probably the Bermuda Triangle, a lot of crazy stuff happens there. Phoebe said, petting Storm on the head. Naruto nodded. Everyone through the portal. Yoshi lighted up. As soon as everyone got through, Yoshi and Naruto placed barrel bombs and light the fuse and quickly ran into the portal. A few seconds later, after they disappeared, the bombs detonated and destroyed the rock formation, cutting access to the portal for good. At the other side of the portal within the elemental nations, everyone got through safely. They were relieved that for once, they were now experiencing true freedom. Did your brother know about the portal? Artemis shook her head. I made sure he didn't see me. He never knew about you until you actually met him. Good. Well, we can just transport to the gates of Orgrimmar. I studied the seal they used and we can use it as well. Naruto's mother smiled. She told everyone to grab each other by the hand once more. Naruto drew a seal on the ground big enough for everyone stand inside the circle. With a few hand signs they disappeared in a plume of smoke. A new chapter of their lives had finally begun, and this time together as a family. Back in New York, the Amatsumagatsuchi in all its glory, not being covered by the mist, was scaring the populace of the city. Windows were shattered and some buildings were destroyed by the strong force of the wind. The Olympians, barred by their ancient laws to interfere with the mortal world, sent demigods to fend it off. Children of Ares were chosen, but they failed as well. The dragon decided not to kill them but only wound them, enough for them to go in retreat. This angered Ares to no end. His children, the greatest warriors ever, according to him, were beaten by some mindless beast. The dragon scoffed at the so-called warriors. They were nothing but hatchlings. He demanded someone more powerful, someone worthy enough to face him. This world did not satisfy him. The people here were weak. The next day he left, flying back into the Bermuda Triangle where the secret portal was. As soon as he got back to his mountain in the continents of Naru, he guarded the place. Forever watching the ancient portal to his world, waiting for someone worthy enough to finally challenge him. But he knew that will not be for a long time, so he closed it, barring the people of Earth access to the world of Azeroth, for they were unworthy of entering his world. At the back of his mind, he remembered that young hunter who braved him. Back at Olympus, confusion hit them. Artemis and her hunters were nowhere to be seen. Her son was also missing. Athena deduced that they most likely used the dragon as distraction to give them a chance to leave. As to where, they don't know. Once again, Zeus flew into one of his tantrums. I'm going to Naru already. But what about my 6 months of service? Naruto asked his father, wide-eyed in surprise. Konoha ninjas have not stopped coming to look for you. They have not started any incidences thankfully, but we are beginning to worry. Your retirement will have to go ahead of schedule to shield you from them. They thankfully do not know of the continents of Naru, therefore you will have to leave within the week before another set of Konoha ninjas arrive. Thrall smiled and placed a hand on his son's shoulder. You have done so much for the Horde in the past 6 years. You have served my son. This is our gift to you. Live your life to the fullest from now on. Naruto smiled in return. I will, father, thank you. No, my son, thank you.